am the very, very proud to be your STEM director. A little bit about me, because we only have a few minutes. We're here for a good time, not a whole long time. I am originally from Trinidad and Tobago. I'm a marine biologist. I'm from a small island, so I love that, and that's what I wanted to explore as I grew up, and I wanted to study, but I also wanted to be a teacher. And so the very best thing I could do was to be a science teacher. And so raising the next generation, my daughter Zalea is here with us today. And so we're gonna do some show, but some tell, but mostly some show, right? And we are going to not tell you about what we do in science and technology and engineering at Harvard Public Schools, but we are gonna walk you through it and have you explore for yourselves what your children do when you entrust them to us. So thank you for being here. I'm joined today by Will Cheney, and he is one of our district technology coaches. So he's not gonna fix your laptop, but what he will do is support the teachers in this district in teaching our kids about all of the things that they will do kindergarten through 12th grade. So we will get started. And I am sorry. We had a nice little slideshow going, and it was about our STEM showcase this year. And am I not finding it? Did I just get rid of it? Sorry that I got rid of it. I got rid of our presentation. So my daughter, just so you know, she is in 6th grade, but she has been with us in this journey. So she doesn't go to Harvard Public Schools because we lived somewhere else when I joined us 3 years ago. But she very much is entrenched in what it is that we do here. So we have a very small sample of our 39 schools. We brought a few boards today showing. So I hope if you have a child in our district that you're represented here. If not, ask us. We could show you what they're doing. But most of our schools, we follow a similar curriculum with some different flavor for different buildings that may have different themes. But we're all about equity, and we're making sure that all of the kids are receiving the same equitable educational experience. So, thank you, Will. A little bit about me, a little bit about him. Will has, he just moved here from Colorado last year to join us, and he has a lovely wife, Jen, and 2 small children. One is in pre-K4, and one just had dance class, and she's two. Last night, her first dance class. So, we're going to skip some of this stuff, but we are going to ask just a few questions. Did any of you take science when you were in elementary grades in middle school? How was that for you? You took it? Do you remember it?
Not really elementary. Middle school, it was okay.
Does anybody remember doing it? It's a loaded question when you were really little. Like K-5. You remember doing it when you were in K-5? I grew up in Trinidad, so it's different, right? Like I did it. Well, then we did it in Trinidad, and you know we did it when we were young, right?
That's true. We made muffins. We called them worms.
In Jamaica? All right.
Volcano, like science. You actually did science fairs.
Where was that?
I was a Catholic, so I went to Our Lady of Sorrows in Hartford.
So the reason that I am pointing this out is that for the first time ever in our district's history over the last 3 years, we are making the effort to intentionally teach science to our littlest ones, because normally in the past they taught them when they were older. And so we want to make sure that they have a good foundational experience. We have a teacher here. I'm going to stick you out. Our 4th grade teacher is here from Burns Latino Academy. Thank you for coming out today. And she's part of this new wave of making sure that all of our kids get exposure to science. How many of you all learn computer science? I'm not going to age myself, but I was not old enough. I learned when I was in high school when the first computers came out. Any of you did computer science when you were younger? You did?
Yeah.
How was that for you?
Good. Different.
Did it change your life? Because you do it now with your daughter.
Yes.
And was it fun? You guys have a good time? So, we think so. So, it's changed a lot since we were young. Now we do the next generation science standards. So, I know we're looking for lunch, but I have to tell you, we follow the standards. So, when we're talking about equity, right, we want to make sure that all of our kids, what does that mean to us? Equity means they have grade level appropriate, standards aligned curriculum that you'll see in action, materials, the best teachers, all of that is how we provide equity. Access, and you know this, I spoke about it at Burns the other day. Access isn't that we're just going to give it to you. Access means that we are going to remove every obstacle in between the teacher and the student and how it's being taught. So well, hopefully that's what you'll see today, is us providing an equitable experience and access to this education. So Science isn't nice to have, we enhance everybody. We teach the ELA standards as well as the math standards. So we make sense of science by having a comprehensive curriculum. So very quickly, I'm going to show you. This is for our littlest ones in kindergarten. Our first lesson is about the mystery class pet. And so in kindergarten, we're going to get a class pet, right? We get all excited. And we have this box, and we have to investigate what's inside of the box. What can be a pet? And some kids will say like a rock or a feather. And really what we want them to learn is what is a living thing. That's what we're getting at, right? But they learn this through something called phenomena, and the phenomena is the pet, and that's the engagement. We grab them with, you go get a pet, but we're gonna learn this science first in order to get that pet. And so we go through all of these lessons, and I will not go all, but if, I'm happy to do it with you at another time. We can go over all of the lessons if you're interested in specific ones. And they really answer at the end of it whether something is living or non-living. And then we focus on, and this is also in kindergarten, so it's not low-level science, it's grade-level appropriate science, phases, solids, liquids, gases. And again, these are things that you can work with your kids at home. This is straight out of our textbooks. And we have an online platform that our kids use. And then I just thought I'd show you something for high school real quick before I take you through a second grade lesson. So for high school, we try to grab our kids. Now high schoolers, you gotta work hard for engagement when you're in 11th grade, right? We know what we're competing with. I am competing against the cell phone and social media. So I have to find things that really grab a teenager's attention at that level. So our first lesson for our 11th graders this year is called the Radium Girls. I won't take the time now, but there was, during the Second World War, a factory in Waterbury that built watches. And in order to get the watches to light up in the dark, they would put radium on the dial. And all of the men were at war. And so there were a bunch of women that went into these factories. And this happened right here in Connecticut, which is the attention grabber, right? We want to make sure that these kids know this is your community that it happens in. And they would dip the brush into the radium, and then they would put it on the dial, but it wouldn't be exact. And so they would dip it on their tongue and then paint. But nobody knew what it would cause. And so we take this, we show them a video about the Radium Girls. It's also on Netflix right now, it just so happens to be. You guys can watch it at home. We take them through the New York Times articles from the actual time of when this happened, all the way to the Supreme Court, because it went to the Supreme Court because these young ladies, most of them died. And it happened right here. And we grab their attention. We are not teaching them about the Radium Girls. We are teaching them about chemistry's impact in our society and getting them interested in radioactivity so that we can teach them about the periodic table of elements. And that's phenomena-based science. So I'm gonna pick on you. Come on, quick, come on. And Will's gonna be a whole lot more interesting than me because he'll take you through the technology and engineering in a second. In second grade, we wanna use literacy and math to teach kids engineering, right? So science enhances that. So we have this really nice unit. So if you have a second grader at home, they are learning about the fourth little pig. So what do we do first? We read them the story of the three little pigs. We ain't gonna do that now. But what's nice is we can bring in cultural things, right? Because I know that there's a Trinidad version to that, a Haitian version to that. I don't know if there's a Jamaican one, right? There is a Puerto Rican version of it as well. Everybody gonna talk about it. We're gonna talk about the new version. And so that's the engagement piece. We're grabbing them. It might be something that's familiar. It may not be something that's familiar. But what it is we can all get on a level playing field of we build houses. That is engineering, right? So this new girl moves into town. She is the fourth little pig. And yes, it's a she, right? And she has very different requirements for what she wants for her house. And she has, there's a storm coming. There's a whole story. And that's the phenomena, right? The phenomena is our story. Just like the Radium Girls was the phenomena for chemistry. And then in the kindergarten, the pet, right? That's what NGSS is all about. And so the kids get to follow this young lady, this fourth little pig. We write a whole new story. So we're gonna teach them their English, right? And then we're gonna use engineering and their math and they get to build a whole new house. And then they get to test it and make a big mess of the people classrooms. So, and then we move on to the next one. Any questions on that? Phenomena-based science. So now, Will is going to tell you just a little bit about what the T in STEM is. This is our technology component. Very, very briefly, what we do in technology and engineering.
Great. So in technology, our technology and computer science teachers are from the kindergarten level through to 12th grade. We're preparing students for meaningful careers. And so all of our curriculum was based on the Connecticut Technology and Manufacturing Reports and identifying what job sectors were really needing well-trained high school graduates and not where our schools weren't meeting those needs. And that was particularly in computer science, cybersecurity, technology, and engineering. And so that's our focus at the high school level, is those 4 pathways. All students in 9th grade get exploring computer science, and then they branch into their interest areas. In the K-8 level, we set the baseline for all those pathways, where all students get a core curriculum of technology to prepare them to be successful in high school.
So as I said, we're not just going to tell you, so you will be able to walk through that K-8 technology pathway when we walk around.
So Exploring Computer Science, the course that I mentioned, is the anchor course, the 9th grade computer science and technology class that all students will get. We're building that out through the schools. And it was developed specifically to improve equity in computer science education based on the demographic gaps that are recognized in computer science, and making sure that all students have a baseline to be able to pursue computer science, because as I'm sure we all recognize, those interests don't always emerge. You know, when you're a 9th grader, you might not be ready to make that decision about what career path you're going to follow. I didn't decide to be a teacher until a year after graduating high school. And so we are moving technology into core curriculum. So the same way everybody is exposed to science and everybody's exposed to math, everybody should be exposed to technology. That's where our needs are. ECS covers 6 baseline units: human and computer interactions, problem solving, web design, computing and data, and robotics, that prepare them to branch into those pathways. Robotics is a 10th grade course in the technology pathway. Robotics at 10th grade is where you'll be, students will be using the Vex Robotics that you can see an example of in the back.
So when we break from this, you can go there. My daughter is there with the Vex Robots, that's the Leia. And she will show you, that's what we use for the older ones, but we have and Mr. Cheney can explain much better than me, the ones that we use for our younger ones in kindergarten through 2nd grade, and the robotics that we use for middle grades.
So robotics as its own course is a 10th grade course, but robotics is woven, robotics and physical computing are woven throughout all the grade levels, and so you'll see how we scaffold to that with a robot that even some of the small children who were in here a few minutes ago were able to pick up and play with right away and see physical computing in action. The ones...
we had 2 pre-K4s, right? Yep, they came in and were able to do it.
And in fact, I took that home and played with my own 4-year-old son. And that, it's called Botley, it's the little character back there, is a great introduction. So we have that available to our kindergartners. Moving on to the Lego robotics, which you'll see back there as well, which is sort of follow the instructions to build robots, and then some room for creativity and problem solving, all the way to Vex, where it's from scratch and students are building the robot and programming the robot from scratch. We also make sure to, while teaching technology, especially web-based technology, to prepare students for positive digital citizenship. And so we use the Common Sense education curriculum. You may be familiar with Common Sense Media. That's sort of the parent side of things. You can look up a website or TV show or movie or music album, and Common Sense will give scores based on the appropriate age level, or sort of their own rating system of those things. So if you're not familiar with Common Sense Media, it's a great resource for you. We use it in the classroom to help teach students how to be positive digital citizens.
And what does that mean, like a positive digital citizen?
To be, well, the good citizenship, right, is something that we all value. we now have, I'm kind of on the spot here.
I know. Do we teach them? I guess I want you to say, like, do we teach kids to be safe online?
We teach children to be safe online. But I think it goes beyond just being safe. It's making positive contributions to the world through your online presence. So there's an element of protecting yourself, and that's certainly our focus with our younger students, but with older students, it's about not just protecting yourself, but also making positive contributions to the world through your digital presence. Computer science is something, again, that we sort of think of as a high school or post-high school level thing. We teach computer science before our students know how to read. They can begin to learn how to code, like you two saw with your children in here. And we do that online too through code.org, where there are even pre-reader, just using symbols and arrows and things where students can program their own games. It uses familiar characters, if your children know Angry Birds, at the elementary level. It engages them with that. Kids love code.org. And it's scaffolded throughout the grade levels so that by 7th grade students are creating their own apps. And there are a few examples from our middle schools of student apps back there on the QR codes. By 8th grade, they're programming circuits. I don't have it all set up, but you can see an example of those just came in. So they're programming circuits that will light up, just like your phone, that can sense the temperature or movement with the circuit. And again, preparing them for high school to go into exploring computer science, AP computer science. So we lay that baseline. So all students going into Hartford high schools will have that baseline of programming. Typing skills. I remember taking typing class in the library in elementary, and it was sort of type the letters, right? For our younger ages, we make typing really fun with game-based typing on Typetastic. As they move up, it's still game-based. Students actually quite like the typing warm-ups and stuff, but the idea is fluency and to remove the barrier that typing can sometimes be to computer science. By the time students are in that exploring computer science, they're typing without looking at the keyboard. So that, if you're programming, you need to be moving. Proficiency and efficiency, right? You need to be moving quickly because there's a lot to type. These programs they can access at school and at home, and so if your student misses a day of school or just enjoys it, they can get on all these. Same with code.org as well. There's a lot of free stuff on there. You can go on the Hour of Code and just get right on code.org and start making at home.
And we do have a list of resources and places that you can go at the end of this. You can take a picture of that.
In fact, right here, if anyone, I can come back to this page at the end, but this is a list of free coding resources on that QR code. I see a couple phones out, so I'll give you a second.
Can we share this
And
presentation?
keep your phones out, because when you go to all of the displays, you can use it in order to be able to go into. I know we can't be at our schools today, but we have some parents here from Betances and from ESM, so you can go into your kid's school and take a look.
Google Workspace, I'm going to pick up the pace here a little bit. Google Workspace, we leverage our technology teachers to support the core teachers. There's so much to cover in all the other classes that if you're doing a Google Slides presentation in your science class, you can co-plan with your technology teacher to please do some of the basic Google Slides skills in your class. And that way, I like to call it double dipping, where our students are working on a project for their science class while learning the Google Slides skills in their technology class. And that really not only maximizes our time, but it creates connections for learning that can be really valuable.
And Google is our friend, I learned.
That's actual.
We talked about common sense education at the stop, but there's that. And then finally, some of the sprinkles, maybe, right?
Yeah, we're really excited to be able to offer, your children makerspace this year.
So we are putting, our teachers have always been really creative with creating opportunities to make, but this year every K-5 classroom received a tower, it's about this high, of drawers of just stuff. There's little DC motors and gears and Legos and sponges
There's
and
everything.
popsicle sticks and all sorts of stuff that you can mix and match however you want. This kind of thing.
Anything
It's a
that
power
we
of
do
it.
in science can be enhanced when our students go to Makerspace and they can take it to the next level.
And Makerspace can be more than that, sort of recycled materials. We have 3D printers that are housed in some schools that are doing the 3D modeling pathway at high school or even in 8th grade. But they're available for any school to check out. So if that's something your student is really interested in, they can even bring that up with our teacher. We encourage our teachers to sort of orient this competency towards student interest. So if they want to be 3D printing, that could be their Makerspace units, 3D modeling and printing.
We are happy to go into the schools. You just let your kids know to tell their teachers, and we would go in. If their school doesn't specifically have 3D printing, we'd be happy to take it to them.
Right, we have a fleet of 3D printers that go to schools.
Are you guys supplying all this, or individual schools are supplying?
No, this is district, no, for the whole, not ESSER fund, we use a different pot of money that's given to us, but it's sustainable. We made sure that whatever we purchased, so just to give you some history and some context, so 3 years ago, we only had 6 schools that were offering this, and we had 6 teachers that were certified, and now we are up to, in our 39 schools, I think we're only 14 schools short, so do the math, so 14 from the 38 is how many we have. So we've come a long way in the last 18 months, and we are expecting to be at 39 out of 39 in the next year and a half. So very excited for that, but for those schools that don't technically have this, we do have sets that we bring out to classes and we give them that, what I was talking about, right? The equity and the access.
Oh,
We
yeah.
want all kids to have it.
Supplies, like.
Yes, we do that. So, I mean, I know that some schools certainly can raise their own money and purchase other things, but no, we are supplying all of the schools.
I find that often, it'll sit unused for the majority of the year, and then there's a 3-week 3D modeling unit. So what we can do is arrange those units so that this school is doing 3D modeling for 3 weeks, and then at the end of that, I can collect the fleet and bring it to the next school to do their 3D modeling. So that way, right, so we've had this little model printing all day. It takes quite a bit of time, but if I can set up 6 3D printers in your classroom for 3 weeks, and then we can start really manufacturing student products that way.
Which one is that?
Well, we don't, but they don't work, and the parts are too expensive to replace. So our kids never got 3D.
I set up a brand new one yesterday at Amy Cushing in Mr. Saunders' room. And throughout this process, we apply the design thinking model. You may have heard of engineering design. There's different approaches to design. Design thinking is really taking hold in the industry because it leads with empathy. And so it's not just about solving a problem, but you're solving a problem for a person. And so the first step in that is understanding the person that you're working for. So we really try to encourage that from Makerspace through exploring computer science and robotics, and every step of the way we want to drive with that empathy piece.
All right, so now every year we have a STEM showcase. This is the one that I say every year. This was our first year, but we're going to continue. We're going to do it every year, right, Deb? And then we take it into the community as well. So our students do take part. We still have beekeeping class. We do Project O in about half of our schools, which is Project Oceanography. Every school will choose something that they want to do. So we have our farm, or they can do different farms, or we bring farming into their school. But all schools have the ability to be able to choose what it is that they would like to do for the year that is extra, and they get to pick. So when you walk around, you'll see examples of those things. And we have some summer opportunities for any of you that want information. That comes out probably in April, and I'll send that out in the communication. So thank you. I know we close to lunch, so I appreciate your attention.
And if you go back to your slide.
Oh, yes, yeah.
And his name too, so don't leave him out.
Oh, we're both on the same slide.
Yeah.
We'll just go back this way. I could have started at the front, but so when you go through, please Feel free to take whatever pictures you want, try out any of the toys that we have. We specifically didn't bring, the kids in here first. We wanted you guys to come in, to be able to use it. Your kids use it at school. We want you to have a chance to be able to use it. Go ahead and eat if you want and come back in. We'll be here for a little while longer. See the teacup puppy being made in our 3D printer, and then try any of the stuff. The circuits here. Please feel free to go around, and we're here to answer any question you might have. Thank you. Hi. Which one is that, Annie Fisher or Batchel? I don't know. It's this. We give it. Yes. Oh no, we're in Montessori at Batchel. Yes, yes. We are. So in pre-K 4, he's not quite there. He's going to start doing that like as we hit kindergarten. All right, but we'll be there. He'll be there next year. So thank you. Thank you for coming.
Hi, good. How are you?
He would be the guy. No, CP Happy Space is the one for my wife.
Okay.
Yeah, right?
But I was curious what the one here looks like.
Makerspace is a call it a unit.
4 hours and 8 minutes.
For something similar to
And it has the lighthouse itself to us.
it's not affiliated with the school district, but
Yeah.
we have some partnerships with them, and it's a great space to go. Sign up
Yeah,
for
but
membership,
I
go
run a youth program called the Grow Hard for Youth Program, and we focus on food justice.
Thank you so much.
One of the main things that we do is include education. So we have something called 10 Factors of Justice, which outlines our 10 demands. Which include abortions, better quality food, more local food, culturally appropriate food.
I would certainly not say that I would love to meet with you about that because we're not school gardens and all of our buildings. And we are going to do farm to school. So we grow to your input.